Will Nick Saban coach again? According to a former quarterback, potentially.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back into Locked On Bama, AHSA Radio Network. Chip Robinson, that's me. Alabama Internet legend Jimmy Stein, that's him. This episode is brought to you by Game Time. We'll talk about Game Time in just a little bit. I want to thank you every day for being here today. Thank you, newbies, for being here today. Thanks, everybody, for making this first listen every single day. You guys are the best. I really do hope I sound okay. I'm in a Delta Skyclub, but we got a note from our boss saying, hey, y'all might need to go live to discuss what Greg McElroy just talked about, which is, according to Greg McElroy, I'll read exactly what the tweet says. Actually, that's probably the best way to do this, I think. Greg McElroy says a person, quote, in the know believes Nick Saban will return to coaching. And then Greg added, if it wasn't someone notable, I would never say a word. Jimmy, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, I think this is total BS, and there's no chance that's happening. Mm-hmm. But I would have also thought Bill Belichick doesn't go to North Carolina either.
Yeah. First of all, I want to give some credence to what Greg said. I give a lot of credit to Greg. He's a smart guy. He had to know this would be a big thing. It blew up to the point they basically interrupted what was going on at SEC Media Days with the itinerary to discuss Greg's tweet with Greg live on the air. So Greg had to know this was going to create this sort of stir, and I don't believe Greg would have tweeted that or said that unless he had a really good source. Now, who's that good source? It's not crazy. It's not crazy to assume that Greg spends time or talks with people that work closely with Jimmy Sexton. That's not crazy to think. It's not crazy to think that that's Greg's source here. But a few things. Number one, this is my take on it, and it's very similar to Luke's, where Luke's saying no chance. Here's my take is this. If there is an above zero chance that Saban coaches again, and that's how I would describe it, if there is an above zero chance Nick Saban coaches again, I strongly believe that would be in the NFL. It would not be college football for multiple reasons, including the current landscape, including the insane work hours required in the off season. The in-season hours, probably more in the NFL or similar to college, but off-season, the NFL actually gets one. College does not. And I don't think Saban would want to compete against Alabama and back in the SEC and all that stuff. It would just kind of create a mess. And I think a lot of Alabama fans would be hurt over it if he did. But again, I think the chances of him returning to football to coach are very, very low. But if he does, it would be the NFL.
All right. First of all, a couple of people have commented my sound was bad earlier. I've switched it to my mic. See, just like I forget to take it off mute sometimes, I forget to go to my settings and add the mic in. So hopefully it's better. If somebody in the comments will say it's better. Okay.
It actually is. It actually is.
Why didn't I asked you earlier? I said, say something.
Because it sounded fine. I mean, it sounded fine. But now, yeah, this is better.
Okay.
I had low expectations. You're in a Delta Skyclub, not your normal fancy studio.
Good point. Now, and that's how dedicated to this we are. That I'm in a Skyclub, and I was in the middle of a good Candy Crush game when I got this news from Zach, and Zach said, "Hey, y'all might want to go live with this." So we are, because
I hate to fly. If I was in a Skyclub, I would be pounding drinks because I don't like to fly. I will fly. I just need to pound drinks to do it.
Look, bottom line, and again, I respect Greg McElroy. I do. And I respect his journalistic integrity. I've met him several times. He actually has a place down at Willow Point, where I'm from. And so I've met him several times. My brother knows him kind of well. And I don't think he's I'm going to get clicks guy. But let me.
He's not a making it up guy either. He's not making it up. Somebody fairly close to Saban told him this, and he
Okay.
decided
Let me
to
say
do it.
this. Here's what this is like. Greg McElroy saying, will Nick Saban coach again? Because he's in the broadcasting industry. And even though he doesn't do it for clicks, the clicks help, is the same reason you and I are going live right now to
Because
say,
people will
we
be
don't
interested.
think we, it's one of those things that you better go ahead and start talking about it. I'm not like, well, if you and I talk about it, it's nipped in the bud, but I think there are enough people that listen to us that go, okay, what do y'all think about this? And I think our answer is the same. It's not, I mean, cue the Dumb and Dumber gif or gif of, so you're telling me there's a chance. Look, of course there's a chance. Look, one thing that always bothered me about the Batman, Superman, Dawn of Justice movie was Batman kept telling people, if there's even a scintilla of a chance that he could be bad, we have to kill him. I was like, whoa, Batman, ease up.
Wow,
But
that is wow. Was that a quote? I watched the movie and it was
It was
terrible.
verbatim. It wasn't verbatim. It wasn't verbatim.
The movie was terrible. Boy, that quote that is a terrible quote.
Well, it's not, but that's what he meant.
Okay.
He was like, that's why he had the kryptonite spear and was going to stab him and do all that. So, but my point is, he's like, if there's even a scintilla of a chance that Nick Saban could coach again, some people are going to want to talk about it, because here's the thing. We all, you know what Nick Saban is? Nick Saban to our generation is what Bear Bryant was to my parents, but it's different in that nobody got to sit back with Bear and appreciate the moment, because as soon as he quit coaching, he died. Nick Saban's still there. Nick Saban's still a fixture. There are some people who think Nick Saban still does all the recruiting. It's not true.
If he wants back in, that phone's going to light up.
Yeah.
The phone will light up. Even at 74, the phone will light up with Power 4 programs and the NFL. And people might be surprised. The NFL would be very, very interested in Nick Saban. I have absolutely no doubt. And I think Saban left the NFL with a bad taste in his mouth he thinks that, number one, his time at Miami has been over criticized. They were a 500 team when he was there. Being 500 in the NFL, by the way, is good. It's not like college football. And secondly, he feels like if he had gotten better information about quarterback and they had signed Drew Brees, he thinks that he would have been a championship coach in the NFL. He's probably right. And so I can see him wanting an NFL do-over.
I can see it, and I could definitely see it if this was 10 years ago. What is he now, 73? 74?
I think he's 74, but so is Pete Carroll, and that could be influencing him as well. He's the same age as Pete Carroll, who just took a new job out of retirement with the Raiders. That could have a bit of an influence there. But by the way, I'm not saying I'm calling the chances of him returning to any football above zero, because I'm giving credence to Greg's report. And also, people sort of ignored this, and I don't know why it did, because I watched it when it happened. When Nick Saban was interviewed on The Pivot, that podcast video show by Ryan Clark that Ryan Clark does, and they asked him, would you return to coaching again? He didn't completely shut the door. So this isn't really new. He didn't say, I'm never coaching again. They gave him the opportunity to say that, and he wouldn't. So that lends even further credence, because Greg's really saying nothing too different than that. And to Greg's credit, by the way, Greg went on SEC Media Days and said emphatically, I don't believe he's ever going to coach again. I wasn't saying I believe it. I'm just reporting to y'all that someone close to Saban is saying that there is a chance. And that's the extent of the report. And that's why I don't believe he's going to coach. But if he does, it would be the NFL. And if he does, I would get it. He's a competitor. He didn't like how it went with the Dolphins. He believes he would be smarter about the situation he would choose, which means a quarterback that could win. And so I don't rule it out entirely. I just think there's a very small chance. What would shock me, floor me, I'm ready to bet against it, is him returning to college football. I would be absolutely stunned if that happened.
Let me go ahead and tell everybody about Game Time, because Game Time is absolute best. We've all been there, logging on early and waiting and forever for concert tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot for a show you've been dying to see. Live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. That's where Game Time comes in. Game Time makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime. You can even save up to 60% off with their killer last-minute deals. Take the guesswork out of buying concert and show tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege. That's all one word for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, of course. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, and that's a Jimmy Stein guarantee. So, I feel like we've addressed this as much as we should.
What town are you in, by the way? What city are you in?
I'm in Atlanta. I should have just driven over to SEC Media Days. I'm in Atlanta right now.
You're ironically in Atlanta. You and Beyonce. Is Beyonce there? Have you seen her?
Is she at SEC Media Days?
She's got a series of shows at the Georgia Mega Arena, whatever it is.
I'm sure she's a Texas fan. She's a Texas fan, gotta be.
She's a Houston she's a Houston Texans NFL fan, I believe. But no, she's doing shows this week. She's got a concert or two in Atlanta at the same time as a Major League Baseball All-Star game, same time as SEC Media Days. A lot of stuff going on in Atlanta. There's a WWE thing that I know nothing about in Atlanta as well.
God, if this were 35 years ago, I'd be doing all those events and going to the Gold Club. There'd be a lot of things on my to-do list. But I don't even know if there is a Gold Club anymore.
I don't know. That would be tough to afford, by the way, in 1 week. Gold Club topping that list, but
it's much easier to afford. When you use your credit card, you don't have to pay for it till much later. I learned about that. Let me bring up
good advice, Dave Ramsey.
Let's bring up one other thing that I wanted to talk about. So bottom line, let's go ahead and just say this. We do not believe Nick Saban will return to coaching. If he does, it's going to be the NFL. That's our belief. Again, but we can't say with definite certainty that is what's going to happen. I think this is talking season. I think somebody who is important enough to be close to Saban maybe briefly touched on the idea of, hey, who knows, maybe he'll coach again. And that's at least worthy of discussion.
Do you think, here's the conspiracy theory. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I even hate the term. But say that the source here is Sexton's office. They represent everybody in coaching. Their phone rings enough. But if Nick Saban was thought to be available, their phone would ring even more often. And maybe it's the old bait and switch. No, Nick's not interested, but I'll tell you who is. That sort of thing. And I'm not saying that's what happened here either. I'm just saying, well, I'm sure they would, the phone rings even more often. That's win-win, right?
So one other thing to talk about, and this is from Brian Kelly, who is up there today at SEC Media Days. I think he's already done his talking. But
yes, I watched it. It was very good.
He said this was Brian Kelly on playing Louisiana Tech in Southeast Louisiana this year. Quote, why not play the schools in your state and share the revenue? If we're going to have to pay somebody to come in and play us, why not play your in-state schools? And then Craig Stevenson says, looking at you, Alabama. Now, that what Brian Kelly didn't say that. Let me say this about that. I have a good friend who actually started the HSA radio network, big Auburn fan, but super guy. And he is always of that same mindset. He's like, I wish Auburn would play UAB every year, or South Alabama every year, or Samford or whatever. And I know Auburn has played those teams. I'm totally okay with Alabama not playing them. I don't mean that as an insult. I mean, there is literally zero, absolutely less than zero for Alabama to gain from playing any of those schools in practically any sport. But I get it playing them in the sort of non-revenue sports, and also get it playing at least everybody else but UAB in basketball. The UAB bitterness runs deep, but I don't see any reason on earth for Alabama to play UAB, South Alabama, Samford, and frankly, it's just not that big of a deal. And if you're UAB, don't come at me now ranked 111th in recruiting and say, well, you're just scared of us. No, that's not what it is. It's just why.
Right. I think the reasons for Alabama not playing those schools in football are outdated and antiquated, and Alabama needs to take a new look at this. But to Luke's point, which I agree with, by the way, is Alabama owes nothing to those in-state schools. You owe nothing. You don't owe them. Oh, you owe them a check. They can get the same check playing Georgia. I mean, they get the same check playing any SEC school. Alabama owes them nothing. Would Alabama benefit? I don't see how. But on the other hand, you do have to play these games. The money would sort of stay in the Alabama economy. And I think the reasons for not playing them are outdated to me in football. I agree with basketball not playing UAB, although basketball's already played South Alabama. So really only football is left in terms of not playing these in-state schools. I would be for it in the one sense I'm not against it. I'm no longer against it. That doesn't make me for it. I don't care. I'm very neutral on this. I don't care whether you play. We're going to play Eastern Illinois this year. Would I rather play Samford? No. Yes. Does it matter? Does it really matter? The one thing I'll say that maybe benefits Alabama is if you do schedule those teams, maybe you get an extra look at somebody you might be interested in the portal. Alabama's not going to portal some person from Eastern Illinois in, but maybe you can play at in-state school like a Troy or a UAB or even a Samford, and they got a kid or two on the team you might be interested in, and you can take an extra look at them. Maybe there's some 1-inch benefit to that, but I don't even really, it's not worth it. To me, I don't care. I'm neutral on this. I used to be kind of against it years ago. Now I don't really care. I mean, and I know Alabama one of the thinkings used to be, Luke, hey, we're the preeminent program in this state. We've built it up over 100 years. We're not going to give you 60 minutes to change that. Number one, it wouldn't change it. And number two, go beat them. You're going to be favored to beat all these teams by 7 touchdowns. Just go beat them and don't. To me, that's antiquated line of thinking. But at the same time, like I said, just because I'm no longer against it doesn't mean I'm for it. I don't really care. I realize you have to schedule wins. When you play this many SEC games and you're playing one big-time non-conference game, the other games you have to schedule need to be wins. I don't really care who it is.
I'm more so, everything you're saying makes sense. I'm more so against it now because so many Auburn people want us to do it. So I'm just like, I'm not going to do it because you want me to. That's the whole reason. And frankly, again, but it does come down to this. Don't give me the, do it for the state and blah, 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 blah. Don't give me all that. Just look, all these other schools need money too. I mean, and look, I don't see Auburn playing Troy, by the way. Have they played Troy?
That would be news to me. I only remember them playing Alabama State and Samford, and I don't remember them playing. They played South Alabama once, I think.
They played Jack State. Jack State should have beaten them.
That's right. Hey, and I'm not saying it's dangerous playing those teams. Alabama or Auburn should crush someone like that. But you could also schedule, as Alabama scheduled Louisiana Monroe one time and lost. I mean, so that can happen. It can happen, but it's not enough of a reason not to schedule those games. But again, the University of Alabama owes nothing to these in-state schools. They still make the same check playing other SEC schools. So it's not like they're being denied anything, except I'm sure their kids would like to play at Bryant-Denny. But that, so do all these other teams that come in and play. They would like to play in Bryant-Denny too. So to me, it's just sort of like a non-story or a non-issue, similar to Greg's tweet. It's a non-story or a non-issue to me, and since it's not that important, but I'm not against it. If Alabama did schedule Jack State, Alabama State, Samford, or USA or UAB, I would just kind of shrug and say, fine, you're a big favorite. You should win those games, and it doesn't really matter who the opponent is. Okay,
and again, all that's fine. And we admit it would be an act of altruism more than anything. Yeah. Like Alabama's sort of throwing other people a bone, which could be nice. And again, as a guy with the HSA Radio Network, I wouldn't mind seeing some of those guys play again that are at Samford or South Alabama or whatever.
Yeah, I like watching the in-state guys.
But, hey, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, it's just not. So, I mean, don't tell me Alabama's being awful by not doing it. I kind of get why they're not doing it. They get nothing from it. And now, Auburn may say, hey, will we do it? Well, maybe Auburn pays the schools less or something. I don't know.
And one other point, Craig Stevenson, who wrote that tweet, by the way, he's a good pal of mine. I like Craig a lot, really smart guy, and he's a good beat writer. He's also the beat writer for South Alabama, and I'm sure South would like to play at Alabama. So I'm sure a lot of that comes from, Craig's a USA, beat writer, and they would love to play in Tuscaloosa. I'm sure they would. So I'm sure a lot of it comes from that. And I'm sure a lot of it comes from USA fans, UAB fans, Troy fans, Jack State fans. They probably like to play at Alabama. Now, I get that. But Eastern Illinois wants to play Alabama too. True. And Louisiana Monroe wants to play. And their kids want to play at Alabama. And it's not like those in-state programs aren't being sufficiently paid by other opponents when they have to play these money games.
Look, and also when you do something like this, if it were out of the kindness of Alabama's heart, and let's face it, that's what it would be. It would be like, okay, I'm not going to even throw a school out because I don't want to make anybody that listens that goes to that school mad. But, okay, blank school in Alabama will play you. You never stop. It never stops. It is, you know what it is? It's when I'm a member at Willow Point. When they send me an assessment for like, hey, we're going to build a new something. And I'm like, well, why am I paying for that? And they're like, well, it's only $75 a month. And we're only going to do it for a year. Well, then next thing you know is $75 a month, and it's
for the next thing.
Because they're like, for the next thing. It's like when a tax gets added, when they go, we're going to take the tax away. The only thing I've ever seen work like that is actually the toll bridge at Orange Beach. They actually got rid of that thing. I couldn't believe it. Yeah. But my bet is they made more money than they thought they were going to. And finally they said, we've made so much money, we got to tear this down. So, so when you do something like play us in-state school, the next year somebody's go, well, you played them last year. Why don't you play us this year? Well, I mean, okay, it just never stops. You can't look, no good deed goes unpunished. So my point is, don't do good.
That's excellent advice. But between the financial advice of just putting everything on a credit card because you don't have to pay for that for much later, to don't do anything good. This has been the Ask Luke Hour. It's been fantastic.
There used to be an old show in Montgomery that just had this country guy call in and just make jokes. And he said, I went to the car place the other day and I said, I can't afford your cars. He said, well, look, here's the deal. All I need you to do is put down a little bit now, and then you don't pay anything else for a long time. And the guy goes, who told you about me? I was like, that's financial right there. Financial 101. All right. That's going to do it for today's emergency pod. Until tomorrow, roll tide, everybody.
Roll tide.